Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you for a Linkin Park worst to best album ranking list that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to be discussing what I'm going to be talking about in this Linkin Park worst to best album that I'm going to be talking about, which made Chester Bennington rest in peace, because this is going on to the 6th year anniversary now, because it's July 20th that I'm recording this video. But pretty much, let's dive right into this special video I wanted to share with you guys on this special day, which is a sad day, but it's something to remember him by. So at number 8 is One More Light. I personally didn't like this album, unfortunately. I thought it was disappointing. Would I say it's the worst thing they've come out with? A little bit. It's the very weakest album they've made, and the last album, Chester Bennington, was with the band for this album cycle until his passing 2 months later on July 20th of 2017. So, like I said, may he rest in peace. He was very talented and had a lot going for him. Uh, he could have gone somewhere with his career, but it's a shame. It's just untreated mental health, and that you don't take as a joke, because it's serious shit. So at number 8 is Linkin Park One More Light. The only song I really disliked was Heavy and Halfway Right. Actually, those only songs. Other than that, the other songs are okay. To Mix Baggage and Good Goodbye was okay. Nobody Can Save Me was average. Battle Symphony was pretty interesting. I really liked the message behind that track. Talking to Myself was pretty good. Invisible, not really something I'm crazy about, but it's okay. And One More Light and Sharp Edges were the best tracks to end the album. I wouldn't say Sharp Edges was the best song, but it was solid. So, pretty much number 8, One More Light by Linkin Park. Number 7 is Linkin Park Recharged at my number 7 spot. I think this one was okay. There were some tracks I liked, some tracks I was in the middle with. But other than that, it's pretty solid for what it went for. So, I wouldn't say it's the worst remix album, because it was a remix album for The Living Things, because there's songs that they remixed for this version of the compilation album, which is a 14-track album. So, a compilation album. It's a remix album, but there were some interesting cuts, but more dubstep-wise stuff. So at number 7 is Linkin Park with Recharged. At number 6, I'm going to pick 1,000 Suns by Linkin Park. I wouldn't say this is the worst thing. I think it's average, in my honest opinion. But other than that, I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing I've listened to from Linkin Park, because there are some songs that I don't really come back to as much. I mean, there's some good tracks, but the one song, Blackout, it's hit or miss. It's not the worst track, but it's something. The other tracks are alright and pretty strong, but Blackout kind of ruined the reception, so that's why I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 when I reviewed it, because it was just hit or miss. So, number 6 is Linkin Park with 1,000 Suns. Number 5 is Living Things by Linkin Park. I actually think it's a good album. Would I say it's the best album they've made? No, but it's still pretty strong of an album. But other than that, basically, Living Things had something to offer for, even though it was more in a pop direction they were going for, like a rock pop direction. Like, Lost in the Echo was pretty strong. In My Remains, I really like Chester's vocals on that, but I wouldn't say it's, mixing wise, it wasn't amazing, but it was solid. Burn It Down was pretty good. Victimize was pretty good. Castle of Glass, pretty good song. I'll Be Gone, Lies, Greed, Misery. Pretty solid tracks. Roads Untraveled, Skin to Bone is solid. Until It Breaks is alright. And Tinfoil and Powerless are the pretty strong closing moments of the album. Tinfoil is only like a minute of a song or something like that. I'm not sure. But other than that, I would say at number 5, Linkin Park, Living Things. At number 4, I'm going to pick Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park. I think this was a pretty good album. Would I say it's my favorite album in their discography? I'm not sure about that, but I think it's pretty strong of an album. But there are some really good tracks, really hit or miss tracks. Sorry about my hand being in the way. Hit or miss tracks for the album, like the 10th and 11th track, In Pieces and In Between, were not my really good highlights of the album. But everything else was pretty strong for what it was going for. Valentine's Day really set the mood in an emotional tone with what they were going for with that track. But I think the closing track is the best track for that album. And they're going to be having a 20th anniversary in the next 4 years for Minutes to Midnight, which I hope it does well. Critically, reception wise, there's going to be some tracks we're going to think are pretty interesting. But other than that, number 4, Minutes to Midnight. I'm sorry I don't have the CD for it. I do plan on buying it eventually. I'm just thinking it over and maybe gonna buy it sometime soon. But I'll let you know what I decide to do. At number 3 is Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory. I think this was a pretty strong album. It's really good. And I actually enjoyed with majority wise of how it sounded overall. I know this is probably everyone's favorite album to pick, but I put it in my top 3 because there were some songs I think are pretty strong, but this is a really good album for what I'm looking for. I know this would be everyone's number 1, but I personally think there's something else that I personally think is number 1. Technically, I would have chose The Hunting Party, but I think there's certain songs and albums that are pretty good, but I got something at my number 2 spot that you guys might agree with or disagree. It just depends. But other than that, number 3 is Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory. I personally think it's a really good album. It's a 9 out of 10, really good album. So, yeah. At number 2 is The Hunting Party by Linkin Park. I think this was a really strong album. It's really good. I mean, there's some hits and misses with the album, but other than that, yeah, I think it's pretty strong for what I went for, execution-wise. So, pretty much, with what I was listening to, and yeah, I know Hybrid Theory would be in the top 2 of the best Linkin Park albums, but I actually like The Hunting Party. I mean, it would be my number 3, but I chose it for number 2 because there's some tracks I really do dig from this album. So basically, number 2 is The Hunting Party by Linkin Park. And finally, at number 1, drum roll please, Linkin Park, Meteora. I personally love this album. And yeah, I know everyone's gonna say, "Oh, Brian delivers. Why didn't you pick Hybrid Theory as number 1?" Well, I personally like the kind of sound Meteora had to offer overall, and I was really intrigued with this album. Like, there's quite a bit of good songs from this album, like Forward, Don't Stay. Forward's just an intro track. It's like 13 seconds of an intro of a song. Somewhere I Belong's good. Lying From You, Hit the Floor, Easier to Run, Faint. Figure 09 is pretty solid, but other than that, it's a pretty strong album. So really like this album. I think the only critique I have about this album is just how it sounds with certain songs. Like Nobody's Listening is pretty solid, but not mind-blowingly great. Session is solid, but not great. So it's a really good album. So highly recommend you check this one out. And at number 1 is Linkin Park with Meteora. That is going to be it, guys, for this Linkin Park album's worst to best for my ranking list that I wanted to give you guys. And I know most of you are not going to agree that I chose Hunting Party at number 2. The reason why is because there were tracks I really liked from that album, and there were some heavier directions they were going with that album. And yeah, it would have been best to put it at number 3, but that's just my opinion at the end of the day. So pretty much that's all I wanted to do for this video. I hope you enjoyed it for tonight. And yeah, that's my list so far of Linkin Park worst to best albums that I wanted to do for this ranking video. And like I said, may Chester Bennington rest in peace. He will be missed to this day. And I just wanted to make this video on July 20th just to dedicate it to pretty much him and be nice about it and all that. So basically, thank you guys for watching.